Okay, so we're looking at spears today. So far with this one, I've wrapped the core and sanded down the outside and basically to make it look a little bit more like worked wood. So the important bit is down this end. So as you can see, I haven't wrapped the core right to the end, and that's because this section is going to be the spear head. So if you want to know how to wrap a core like this, go and have a look at the video that I made about making a Larp safe hammer. Same about tipping the ends. I'm not going to go into that now. Check out the other videos which are on my channel, and that'll show you how to get to this sort of stage. Obviously the difference with this and the hammer is that you want to leave a section at the end there. So the amount that you leave exposed really depends on how large you're going to have the spear head. This is going to be quite a long one because it's a fantasy type spear. Obviously, depending on how big you want the head, depends on how much core that you have exposed at the end. The other thing that you need to consider is that for a spear, in most LARPs, to make it stab safe, which is what you're probably going to be doing with it, you need to also have on the end a collapsible tip. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. But you need to make sure that you leave enough space for that collapsible tip. So you want about 6 inches of soft foam. Usually furniture foam is fine for that. You need to basically work out the shape of your spear head and then leave enough room for the stab safe bit. So the way I like to do it is I actually make a template of the whole spear head. Well, in this case, obviously half. So you can see how far up you need to do your stab safe bit. You want about 6 inches of that, which will be fine. So make a template so then I can cut out the parts for the head, and then basically at the last minute then I'll cut the end off about here, and then I'll make a soft foam part for the very tip of the spear, which then I'll attach. So I'll show you that later on. Right, so what I've done now is I've attached the centre of the spear head to the top of the haft, and I've reinforced the foam with Kevlar, which is Kevlar matting here. That just stops the core from poking through the foam. You'll also note that the end of the spear, or the tip, is missing. That's deliberate because we're going to be adding a collapsible tip. So this is just basically a rough shape. Once the whole thing's sandwiched together, then it'll be sanded and a final sort of shape created. But for now, until it's all sandwiched together, it doesn't really need to be too accurate. So the next stage after this is to sandwich all the pieces together, and that will give us a solid foam spearhead, and then we can move on to putting the collapsible tip on. Okay, so I've sandwiched this all together now, and we just basically got to wait for the glue to dry, and then it'll get sanded into shape. So it's quite a rough shape at the minute. It needs a lot of sanding work doing to it, and then once it's been sanded down, we'll move on to making the collapsible tip. So the whole of the haft has now been done. I've carved it into a more sort of natural looking shape. I've got to put a wood grain on that after. I'll probably do the wood grain actually while I'm waiting for the spear head to dry, so I'll give it some time to dry before I do that. And then once I've done that, I'll come back and we'll show you sort of the business end, which is making the collapsible tip. Okay, so I've shaped the head now, and I have cut the soft foam tip. So this is furniture foam, so it's very soft and squishy. And just a note on, you might have noticed there's a difference in colour between the haft and the head. There's foam comes in all different colours, so that doesn't make a difference. But what is different is that I've made the head out of LD33, which is a slightly softer foam than the LD45. It just gives this a little bit more squish in compression compared to the LD45, which just makes it that little bit safer, I guess, when you're stabbing. Okay, so I'm just going to attach this. I've just put 2 layers of contact adhesive on either end. I'm just going to attach them now. So I'm just going to squish the foam in slightly, just so that it matches up. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's the soft foam tip on. Now, if we left it like this, what would happen in a very short time is that this bit would rip off this bit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to reinforce this with a cloth cover. So basically what I'm going to do is going to cover this, once this is dry, cover this in a whole layer of contact adhesive on both sides. Then I'm going to put a cloth over the top, which will bond this bit to this bit and stop it ripping off. Okay, so I'll come back and we'll have a look at that in a minute. So I've now coated the head of the spear in contact adhesive, and I've also got a piece of cotton cloth which I've coated in contact adhesive as well. Don't forget, make sure that you leave these to dry before you bring them together. And the idea here is to give an even coating over the whole head with the cloth. So here we go. So make sure you stretch it out. And then try and go into the contours as well. There we go. And keep it as flat as you can, really. Okay, so I'm going to leave that to dry now, and then trim off the edges, and then I'll turn it over and I'll do the same on the other side, and that then should, once it's dry, make a really strong bond between the soft tip and the harder, the rest of it, which is made out of LD33. Right, so when I've done the other side, I'll come back and we'll go on from there. Okay, and so here's the final result. I've actually got 2 here, but I sort of made them roughly at the same time.
I didn't bother showing you how to latex and isoflex them because I've covered that in other videos, so you don't really need to see it. So basically, yeah, that's it. So once you're covered, got the cloth cover on both sides of the spearhead, from then on, really, it's just latexing it and then painting it, and finally putting a layer of isoflex on the end. One last thing to remember, of course, is you need to make a small hole in the soft foam part of the spearhead so that the air can come out when it's depressed, otherwise it won't collapse properly. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you found this vaguely useful, and please like and subscribe to my channel, and see you again soon. Bye.